I am Ben Stevens. Donnie Rightside is on the right, and the man in the middle, joining us to start off this second hour with some PGA Tour plays. That is Keith Stewart, live right here on this Tuesday on TEL. Keith, we appreciate the time as always. Thank you for being here.
Well, you know what, guys? You have me fired up with this morning's discussion. I mean, that men's national team, whoever you pick, Saban, Belichick, whichever the guy is, could we borrow him for the U.S. Ryder Cup team for Bethpage Black in 2025?
For sure. For sure. Listen, we're not losing on home soil. We're not losing out on Long Island. I can guarantee you that, Keith. And if that has to be Saban or Belichick or somebody else who needs to step in and make sure that Team USA does not lose to Team Europe, the job will get done. One of the staples, Keith, of the summer months on the PGA Tour, that's the John Deere Classic in the Quad Cities out in America's heartland. So as we get ready for this week on the PGA Tour, what are a few things that people need to know about the John Deere Classic, a staple of any PGA Tour summer?
Well, you know what, guys? I mean, this is one of those classic summer birdie fests that has a little bit of a weaker field because guys are preparing and they're packing to go over to Scotland for the British Open. But you know what? There is an interesting field here. And there was a lot of action on the odds board yesterday because when Friday's field list came out of the 156 that are playing, Patrick Cantlay was there. For the first time in his 13-year professional career, he was coming to the Quad Cities, and everybody was like, whoa, what's this guy doing? Well, you know what? He's had some great finishes lately, so he's probably trying to build towards the next major championship. And then on Monday, he withdraws. And there was all sorts of action in and around the odds board. Some of the other favorites like Sepp Straka, Sung Jae Im, you had to get there before the books adjusted. So it was a little bit active for a Monday at the John Deere Classic, which is usually kind of a sleepy tournament when it comes to week on the PGA Tour.
If we take a look, Keith, at the tournament itself being played at TPC Deere Run, 7,200 yards, a par 71. What can we anticipate from this golf course? Do we anticipate a lot of scores going low, or do we think that this golf course can hold up against these professionals?
Donnie, I'm not sure. I mean, they could line all the tractors up they want there, but it's not going to hold up to these guys. Even the middle tier guys are too elite for this place. And it's a bit of a rinse, rewind, repeat. For the third week in a row, we're looking for a very similar skill set. First and foremost, you've got to be able to putt at this place. You've got to get to 20 under par. I mean, the average winning score over the last 5 is 22 under par. So we're really looking for guys that can roll the rock. Now, the good news is that this place is far less difficult than last week. Those Donald Ross greens in Detroit is that we're out here now. It's D.A. Wybring's design. I know, not a classic. So therefore, guys make a lot of putts here. The second thing is that we're looking for a combination of the wedge game. About a third of your approach shots are coming from 100 to 150 yards. So guys that are great with a wedge in order to score. And then also we have 3 par 5s on the property, and we have 3 par 4s over 475 yards. So I love a little bit of long iron play mixed in there too to capitalize on those scoring moments. And the third thing is that I just need guys that can make birdies. So that birdie or better percentage, I want guys that can absolutely just fill up the bucket. I don't care about bogey or double bogey because, quite frankly, guys don't make them here. So I want guys that are aggressive players.
Keith, when you look at the odds this week, near the top but not the favorite, that's Jordan Spieth, now listed at a 20-1 price on the FanDuel Sportsbook, a 2-time winner at the John Deere Classic, but most recently way back in 2015. What can we expect of Spieth this week in the Quad Cities?
Well, you know what? He was almost a bigger surprise than when I saw Cantlay on Friday in the field. And I'm glad you bring up 2015, Ben, because that's the last time he was here. So you got to ask yourself a lot of questions. Jordan, over his last 10 starts, has been horrific with his iron play. And as a result, it's putting a lot of pressure on other parts of his game. He is one of the favorites in the field, but I just don't see it. This guy, again, I've said this a number of times, and at the risk of being redundant with you guys, he's won twice in 7 years. 2 times in 7 years, but yet we're still rolling him out here. And of course, there's a lot of bias there because he's won twice at TPC Deere Run. But I just don't I think he's there because he needs to get his game in shape. Right now, he's 59th on the FedEx Cup points list. He doesn't even make it to the second round of the playoffs. I mean, he reminds me of this Justin Thomas run last year where JT had to start playing places you wouldn't normally see him, like the Wyndham and the 3M. I think we're going to see a lot of Jordan Spieth over the next couple of weeks as we close out the FedEx Cup points season.
Yeah, one of those true dominant golfers of the past, 5 to 6 years, certainly trying to find his way. If we are looking, and we always like to take a look down the board here, if we take a look at Im and Straka as the favorites here in this tournament, who are some of the longer shots that we might be taking a look at this week? Who can surprise?
Well, there's one guy that's been playing really good, and he's sitting right there in the middle tier. His number's been moving around, but Davis Thompson at plus 2,800 he was ninth at the U.S. Open. He was second last week at the Rocket Mortgage. This young guy, he was once the number one amateur player in the world. He's now 25 years old, and he is scoring in buckets. And you know what? I love it coming in. I love his form coming in. He's played very well. So he would be somebody who has definitely the archetype player for this week in order to get the job done. And there's some other guys further down the board. If you want to go real deep, you can go for a guy like Sam Stevens out of Oklahoma State University. Stevens was great last week at the Rocket Mortgage, and it's a similar skill set. You want a guy that can score a lot. And you know what? When they go to these harder golf courses, these are the types of guys that make a bogey or double bogey that kind of derail their day, and then they end up in 40th place or 30th place, or maybe they miss a cut by a shot or two. But when you get on these easier golf courses, you got to love these birdie fast guys that can take just take the score low. I mean, remember last year, Sepp Straka wins this thing with a 62 on Sunday, and he double bogeyed the last hole. So he was on 59 watch, and he made double on the last, and he still won by 2. Sepp was 11 strokes back after round 1. So don't give up early on anybody here, guys. You could take it deep all week.
A birdie fest this week at TPC Deere Run for the John Deere Classic. But the next few weeks, Keith, in the world of golf, going to be elite. The Scottish Open next week, leading into the Open Championship the weekend following. And then we will get some Olympic golf over in Paris. A new market available on the FanDuel Sportsbook just this week. And surprise, surprise, if he's playing in whatever golf event is out there, Scotty Scheffler is going to be the short favorite, plus 310. Xander Schauffele, now a major champion after winning the PGA, also an Olympic gold medalist at 7-1. Rory there at 7-1 as well. Ludwig Gobert at a 10-1 price, and Colin Morikawa rounds out the top 5 at 14-1. Keith, before we dive into the odds, what is the format going to look like at the Olympics for the golf that we will see?
Well, guys, they have the men set up, and it's going to be 120 players total, 60 men and 60 women. They will play a 4-round tournament just like they normally do. The guys are going August 1st through the 4th, which is a Thursday through a Sunday. So very standard type of format for the men for certain. And they are playing Le Golf National, which we all remember from the 2018 Ryder Cup, which was on the road and we lost, and we probably could have used Belichick there too. But those 60 guys are competing for those medals. And if you remember back in Japan, I mean, we had some really cool things take place because back in 2016 in Rio, we didn't really get the buy-in from the athletes. But Japan, we did. We got Xander as a gold medalist. Remember when C.T. Pan was in a 7-way tie for that bronze medal, and Rory was in there, Colin was in there, Hideki in Japan was in there. So there's all sorts of cool things that can take place when we go to Le Golf National, which is interesting because after the weeks we're going to spend in Scotland, we are going to go over to a very target style American golf course at Le Golf National, which only favors Scotty. But the sideline and the betting lines that I'm going to be watching are the 2 South Koreans that are in the field, Ben An and Tom Kim. Tom Kim's been great on positional golf courses. These guys need to medal, right? They need to get out of that mandatory military service that they have to serve between the ages of 18 and 35. There's only 2 ways they can do it, a medal in the Olympics or a gold in the Asian Games. So a guy like Tom Kim at plus 2,900 on a positional golf course where he can score a ton of birdies, that's the type of guy that I'm definitely betting to get a medal for sure because he'll be focused to get out of that military service.
Outside of Olympic glory, some added motivation. Keith Stewart, the early handicaps for Olympic golf over in Paris. We appreciate the time on this Tuesday. More coming your way up next.